Hello everyone, welcome back. I am of course William Strife, and this is Strife Solutions. As you can see, the platform is done. Well, maybe not 100% done, like 90%, 90, 99, I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but it is 99% done. It is almost entirely complete. There are, it's not perfect, and a lot of that comes down to the interchange of biomes. Without knowing it, I set the frame for this thing right on the edge of two different biomes, which shouldn't be too surprising to me, but yet I still got surprised regardless. There's part of it is built in a birch forest, and the other part is built in, a spruce forest, and so you have this kind of washed out, frozen grass right next to this bright green grass. I would prefer the entire platform to be nice bright green grass, but you don't always get what you want in that regard. But it works. If I'm not mistaken, the original solution tower and the platform that it was built on also had the same variation or transition of biomes right on the grass for the top. And for that matter, the grass on top, this is the platform is almost entirely made out of cobblestone. Well, actually, the platform is entirely made out of cobblestone. And then we have these top 3 layers of dirt here. As you can see, there's this ledge that's been left around the platform. And that's because if you've been around long enough, you know that the way that the solution platform is designed is that it is entirely made out of cobblestone, and then the parts of the platform that you can actually see that are outwardly visible are covered with a veneer of stone brick, or maybe some other stone I'll end up using. I don't know exactly what material I'm going to be doing that I will be using to completely finish off this platform. But the outer edge of this has been left barren, so you can see the dirt, because it's going to have to be covered over with material that looks nicer than cobblestone. Cobblestone is used as a primary building material because it's easy and sufficient and pretty dang blast-proof. It's sturdy, but it doesn't look good. So there's that. I'm gonna have to come back through and figure out exactly where the veneer of stone, brick, or whatever material I use will be put into use. But that's getting beyond myself. That is not a very important factor. So platform is complete. Plenty more materials are left in the little cave here that the workers were sleeping in while they were laying down the foundation. But guys, now that the platform is done, we can get on to the next major step, which is figuring out the materials necessary to actually build the tower. Figure out the materials, then collect them. Which brings us to today's list: concrete. To do concrete. So naturally, to make concrete, you need gravel, sand, and then any type of dye that's necessary, because you can color your concrete. So the first thing that I'm going to address is the sand. Sand is not going to be too difficult, because not too far away from that warehouse that I built, there is a desert. So I'll just go out there and collect the sand up in mass, because I have a sophisticated enough shovel to do it on my own. It shouldn't take long. I don't need significant quantities of it. I won't bother I won't bother having the staff do that for as small of a quantity as I have. The other part is black dye. Now, black dye obviously only comes from ink, and my major problem here is that I don't have any place to readily gather significant amounts of ink. But as luck would have it, again, not too far away from that warehouse is a location where I think I can build a reliable squid farm. Okay, so as it turns out, the warehouse and the quarry location, I mean, it's just continuing to grow without even intending. That company town is going to get bigger. I'm going to have to hire more workers to actually, staff the place and keep it moving. I mean, geez, talk about being incredible. I'm a job creator here. Now, the major problem that I have that I'm going to address first here is collecting gravel. I don't have a reliable source of gravel. There is no gravel that I have found readily available in any place around where my infrastructure exists. But I do know a location where there's gravel. And it's basically the mountain that Tevola built her library into. You guys haven't seen her library before. It's pretty impressive, but we don't want to bother Tevola. We're gonna sneak out there, and I'm gonna grab up as much as I can, and one man covert operation. This is a stealth mission, so I'm gonna hop through the nether, find a horse and get myself out to, honestly, way too close to her library, too close for comfort, and hope that she just... Well, she shouldn't worry about it. It's just gravel. It's just gravel. It's not like she's using it. See, guys, just like I said, there's just a dump truck load of gravel just sitting out here waiting to be taken. This is more than I'm actually going to need for the entire project. I just have to chew through this a little bit with my fancy...
Wait a minute, Strife.
No.
What on earth are you doing here?
No. My bad luck. Hello, Tevola.
Hello, Strife. What's going on? What are you doing?
What am I doing? What are you doing? What are you doing out here? Why? What has got you out of your little hidey hole with your dusty tomes and your mite-ridden pages and your dank air and your communist manifesto that's an affront to capitalism with the concept of putting books inside of a building and then not charging people to read them? What has you out here?
Okay, to avoid any more poking and prodding, I require phantom membranes as an ingredient for scrying purposes.
Phantom membranes.
Yes.
For scrying.
This is correct.
Of course, that's the only thing that would get you out of your stupid little dank hole with your coffin and your fake blood and everything. It's fleshy substances that are required to make your potty mouth magic happen more frequently. Get out of my way. I'm busy.
All right, I have answered your questions, and you have not answered mine, and you have about 3 seconds to do so.
I'm here for gravel, isn't it obvious?
Why on earth do you need gravel, though?
Because I need to make concrete, Tevola.
Ooh, concrete? Why would you... Hold on, are you building something? What are you doing?
Yes, I am building something, Tevola. I'm building the solution tower, and I need concrete to make that happen.
Of course you are. Ugh.
Yeah, you know, concrete, the thing that takes sand and gravel and potentially a little bit of dye in order to make. That's what I need. I need the solution tower, because despite the wonders of the Crossroads facility and the fact that it didn't fall apart, no thanks to you on that front, there's a scar in the basement still. Despite the fact that the Crossroads facility is still holding together, it is not a scientific research facility. It's meant for wealth generation. So I have to rebuild the solution tower, which is my primary scientific research facility, in order to understand what's happened to the world. So I've come here to collect up the gravel, to make some concrete so I can build the solution facility and understand the horrific things that have happened to this world because of your portal fun antics.
Right, whatever, but why here?
Why here, Tev?
Why?
Because this is the only natural source of gravel that I know anywhere. It's just sitting here out in the open, ready to be collected up, and I am here to collect. It's not like you own the dirt underneath your feet.
Well, in fact, I have built the library here, so this land is actually claimed.
All right, I concede that since you built something here, you might potentially have a land claim.
Right.
I'll make a deal with you then.
A deal?
Yes, a deal, okay? You let me dig up the gravel, you let me collect what I need, and I'll reduce your debt.
A debt that doesn't exist.
It doesn't matter whether or not you think the debt is real or if it exists, Tevola. What matters is that I'm not going away until I consider the debt repaid.
Wait, get rid of the debt? Get rid of you?
Yes, that's the way debt works. Do you not understand that?
Right, but to the point of defacing my mountaintops?
Tev, this is a gravel mountain. I have to dig in to your hills and valleys in order to get what I need. I have to go across the tips. I have to touch them. I have to dig in. I have to feel through every single curvature of the landscape in order to get the materials that I need. Now, you're either going to let me explore your hills and your valleys and your tips, and you're going to get debt reduction, or you're going to chase me away. Now the question is, are you okay with this deal or not? Do you want me in the hills and valleys of yours or not?
I can agree to this. Do as you will, Strife.
Wait, you're just gonna agree? Tev?
Whew. Right.
Wow.
Oh my.
What just happened there?
Nobody's spoken like that to me for centuries.
Don't forget about it. I am gonna have the time of my life. I'm gonna get so filthy going through these mountaintops and hills, and then once I have everything I need, it'll be back to the warehouse. All right, so here we are, out in the middle of the desert, not too far away from where one of the world shifts has happened, as you can see through some of the just flat cutting through the landscape that happened with... that resonant cascade was one hell of an event that the world ended up beholding, all because of Tev. But like I said, this desert isn't too far away from the actual the actual quarry, and for that matter, it's closer actually to the retired mine that preceded the quarry. I'm probably going to end up running into it at some point because of the squid farm that I need built. Now, like I was saying earlier, it looks like I lucked out, and there's actually a reasonably good place to build a squid farm not too far away from where the quarry is. So that little, you know, the budding beginnings of a company town right around that warehouse in the quarry, it's growing, and like saying that it's a budding company town appears to be the most accurate statement that I have available to me, because that's exactly what it appears to be turning into. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just continue to dig up as much sand as possible from this desert. And then once I have, I don't know, roughly 50 stacks or so, I'm going to go ahead and hop back and I'm going to dump that stuff over at the warehouse. And with that done, I'll go ahead and turn around and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by building a squid farm. We'll go over the details and the specifics of how that's done. I'll have plenty of nice visual aids for all of you who aren't exactly the best at listening to instructions and instead like having pretty pictures. I understand what that's like. Many of my workers are just exactly the same way. All right, okay, that is all of the sand put away. The workers will have to come through and figure out what crates that I've put them in whenever it comes time for them to do their part of the job, because God knows I'm not making all of this concrete the hard way on my own. Concrete being one of the few things that you can't really auto-craft in the game or farm readily. But like I was saying, guys, it's time for me to make a squid farm. Now, in order to make a squid farm, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a bit of a cross-section here. So, let's see, there, 1, 2, there, and okay. So, what I'm going to show you, like I said, is a cross-section where I am essentially going to explain where fence gates need to go, where signboards need to go, and where I need to place water as well. Because what is essentially going on with the design of a squid farm is that you're trying to isolate a section of a river with no extra water around it, and then force squids to spawn in a very select location so that they will end up just plummeting to their death, and then you have a hopper cart run back and forth and pick up everything that they drop. So what you're looking at right here is essentially a cross-section. The red blocks represent where you put source water blocks. The white blocks represent where there's going to be water flowing downward. And the gray blocks, the andesite, they represent where you're either going to have signboards or fence gates. Now, I do want to make the point that I'm going to do a bit of a hybrid design where I only put fence gates where these torches go. Okay, and the idea is that this is the way that it looks whenever you look straight at it onward, and then you can extend this as far outward as your area of a river biome exists. So essentially, you want to just take this as a single layer of blocks, and you want to repeat it over and over and over for as long as you can until you run out of river biome. Now, we're going to get into the river biome part in just a moment here, but that's the general idea. What I'm going to do is put signboards across the top, signboards across the bottom, and signboards here and here, but only fence gates where the torches are, because fence gates are the only thing that will not end up waterlogged as a result. this whole process. Signboards can get waterlogged and they do not work for the particular mechanic manipulation that I'm going to be doing here. But that's the general idea, okay? So you basically want to put as many of these water pods side by side with these vertical columns between as you can before you run out of river biome. And speaking of the river biome, we're going to go ahead and pop right over here. And like I said, I turned out lucky. There is this river biome right nearby. So I've marked out the boundary of what I'm going to be of the space that I have to work with. You can see I've marked it with the birch logs and torches. Now, the other component of this is that a squid farm will only work between the vertical heights of 62 and 45. In other words, squids will not spawn higher than 62 and they will not spawn lower than 45, and they will only do it inside of the right type of biomes, river being one of them. So what I need to do is fill this river in and any adjacent water as well, and then I have to actually dig down to create a reasonable enough sized chamber where I can actually set up the spawning pods, as it were, and then put in all of the signboards, all of the fence gates, all of the source water blocks. You'll see me do that in a bit. And also I have more than enough dirt as a result of digging the quarry and everything, but I'm going to need to fill in this river entirely so that it's impossible for random squid to spawn right there because, like I said, what I'm doing is making concrete, and this concrete in particular needs to be made black. Black concrete, you only get black dye from squids, really. There are wither roses, but those are way more difficult to create. So that's the whole plan. If I'm not mistaken, there are additional spaces of the river further up this way. If I just take a look. Actually, it appears to be a bit of a dry bed for here. Oh no, here we go. Yeah, there's more water back here. And because the place that I'm going to be the place that I'm going to end up standing around and AFKing while the squid spawner works is going to be the warehouse, it means that I don't have to fill in too much river that curves around that hill over there. But it does mean that I have to fill in this space over here. As you can see, there are 3 squids hanging out in that little pool over there. So that's essentially the gist of it, and I have more than enough wood sitting around back inside of the warehouse for me to get this job done. So I'm going to go ahead and get to work, guys, and you'll probably get a better understanding for how this is supposed to be designed as I build it going forward here. So let's get started. So first thing was first, I had to actually fill in a certain amount of the river so that I could create the spawning chamber for where all of the squids would spawn in. And that was probably the most tedious part, just having to put a bunch of dirt down only to remove it again. Anybody who's done a project like this, though, knows that the first step is just a whole bunch of digging. Nothing as tedious as the quarry, granted, but still a whole bunch of digging. Anyways, the pit had to be 17 blocks deep at least, and then once I hit the bottom, I just used a whole bunch of andesite, diorite, and granite to create that pattern so that I would know that I was placing everything in the right place. I then put a break of water at the bottom of the pit so I wouldn't die if I fell, and laid in some temporary grass so that I would be able to place all of the signboards and the fence gates in the correct locations. Once all of the signboards and the fence gates were in place, though, I just went and put in some extra temporary grass and raised the walls a little bit more to put in the source blocks of water at the top, then remove the dirt right away. Once that was done, I basically had to repeat that whole process 4 additional times because it's 5 separate layers of the same thing: signboards, fence gates, and water. Once the 5 layers of the spawning chambers were done, I just dug the 18 block drop, and then once I was done with that, at the very bottom, I went up just 2 layers deeper to make a big zigzag of rails along with booster rails to ensure that the collection cart would be able to make itself back and forth. Once the rails were in, I just covered it over with some super basic, not fancy stone. But with that, the spawner was basically done, and I just had to fill in the river and the bodies of water around, as well as put a roof on it so that no nasties would fall into it. I realized at the very last moment that there was no good automated way, or even semi-automated way, to create concrete. So what I did was I leveled a bit of the hill next to the warehouse, and then created basically a big wooden pit with a couple of dispensers in it that would, in a semi-automated fashion, allow me to turn concrete powder into solid concrete. All right, guys, I am all done. Today's project is complete. As you can see from right out here, I ended up having to add in an extra... it's a concrete pit, basically. Mostly, almost entirely through the Squid farm operation, I realized, oh, there's no, like, reasonably automated process. There are far more automated methods than what I've come up with here, but I realized that I needed a reasonably automated process to create, the concrete. So, obviously concrete powder, you have to craft it out of the gravel and the sand and the dye, and then you have to get it wet. So instead of making the stuff wet during the construction process of the tower, it makes more sense, I think, to make it here and then pick it back up and cart it out to the location. So as you can see, I made the pit entirely out of wood, and the reason for that being, you don't easily break down wood with a pickaxe, even with one as efficient as the ones that I use here, as well as the ones that the workers use. So what I've also got it rigged up with a bunch of dispensers on either side and a little bit of redstone with repeaters. I thought about trying to hide the redstone underground, but I was like, nah, forget about it. That doesn't really matter that much. This is such an industrious place. So all you got to do is you got to hit these buttons. The water comes out. Oh, I broke the torches. I kind of forgot about that. So it flows out. Hit the buttons again. Water goes away, and now all of that. Oh, look at that! See, all the concrete powder is now ready to go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put those back. This does roughly a little over 6 stacks. Yeah, I have 48 black concrete powder left, and I started with 6. So this does a little bit over 5 stacks. So this is a reasonable amount, and I think I need like something in the ballpark of one single double chest worth of concrete to get it done. So that's good. And also over here, as you can see, the river has been filled in. The Squid farm has been completely finished. And if I come down here, I put in a little glass window so you can see the squid drop to their death. Oh boy, look at those poor souls just hitting the ground too hard over and over. And you can hear it, but there is a hopper cart running back and forth underneath, collecting up all of the spoils. If we watch just for a little bit, yep, there you go. They've started to vanish on you. So it's running around, it's collecting everything up, and it's depositing into these chests, these deposit chests on either side. And this thing was raining squid down on my head as I was building it. So I already have more black dye, or ink for black dye, than I am going to need. The only thing, really, that I have a problem with this entire build is the fact that, come back up to the top here, this little elevator system is not guarded, okay? It's not good enough. It's kind of like out in the open. While it is unlikely for a creeper to wander down and fall into this down shaft to get down to the spawner or the collection chamber, because, mobs will not willfully go down a 20 plus block drop without I think they have to be pushed into it or tricked into it, and the chances of them going down that shaft is very unlikely. But what is likely is that you're leaving and you come up and you hit the top, and lo and behold, surprise creeper at the top. So what I need to do is I need to come back through and just basically build a room around this base, make this the back wall of the structure, and then have just a small building around it with a door on front, so you are ensured to be safe when coming up or going down the elevator, and you're not going to have a surprise creeper, and you have doors that you can actually, go through if you're ready to leave the facility or whatnot. But other than that, all of the water bodies in the area have been filled in, the concrete pit has been built, the squid farm has been completed, so that means I'm done. I've finished everything that I needed to get done for the day, which also means that it's time to update this list here. So what do we have here? To do concrete, gravel, boom, done. It was a bit of a challenge given the fact that I ran into Tevola, but at least it's finished and it's out of the way. Sand, haha, that was no problem whatsoever. I just walked into the desert and I grabbed what I need. I've also got all of the black dye that's necessary, all thanks to the squid farm, which was admittedly a bit of a challenge to build. It was a bit of a process, but it's all finished, which means I'm all finished for the day. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Next time, I will come back around to continue collecting the necessary supplies to build the solution tower. Until then, though, I will see you all next time. Bye!